I want to grow and I want to learn, and if I do things that are just safe, then I'm not going to experience the things that I don't know about myself yet.
Hey everyone, welcome back for a brand new edition of Collider Ladies Night. I am so excited for this one because you know this is Jessie Buckley and she is incredible. I'm just going to embarrass you right off the top. I have seen Wild Rose a couple of times now, and please go check out that movie because seriously, you are phenomenal in it. I can't get that music out of my head.
Sorry about that.
I'm trying to be a country singer.
Nobody wants to see a convicted criminal up there.
Johnny Cash is a convicted criminal, you ball bag. Country music, there's 3 chords in the truth. Just get whoever's in there out. I should have been born in America. I'm an American.
You're young, you're incredibly talented. There is nothing you can't do.
I want that end song to get an Oscar campaign so bad, and I truly mean it, not just because you're sitting there, but it almost reminds me of the effect that Sing Street had on me.
Oh, I love
where
that
I walked out the door, I had to download everything, and I was hardcore rooting for it, so I hope it works out that way.
Well, who knows?
So I want everybody out there to kind of get to know you a little bit, because you've had a really interesting journey that, to be completely honest, I wasn't even aware of until I started prepping for this interview. So way back when, do you remember what the first thing you got into first and really wanted to do was? Was it being in movies? Was it singing or the stage work?
Oh God, no, like where I grew up in Kerry, I mean, even you didn't even think about being in movies because that belonged to Hollywood, and I grew up at the foot of a mountain in Kerry, so that wasn't even something that was a thought that I would ever get a chance to be part of. So really my first kind of look into the, madhouse.
That's a fair way to describe it.
Was through musical theatre, and my mom is a harpist and a singer, so we grew up around lots of music, and my dad is a bar manager but always wrote poetry and stuff, so we were always like in a house where we were doing some kind of musical social suicide music camp or something like that. But I moved to London when I was 17, trying to get into drama school to study musical theatre, but I didn't get in, and then I ended up getting a job and then went on to do a play in the West End for 13 months, and that was my first thing, really.
Is that the first thing you wanted to be when you grew up, was a stage actor?
Yeah, definitely, like theatre and live performance, and I loved, like, I remember going to see, I think it was Joseph in his Technicolor Dreamcoat or something ridiculous like that in my like
everything of every like child of our generation has a weird special memory with that show.
Oh my God. And I truly believe that Jesus had died on the cross in my hometown in Killarney, like in the Oris Padraig, which is the town hall, and I was so upset by this experience that Jesus had died in front of a good Catholic Irish girl. She had to bring me backstage to ensure me that it was only like Mick Sullivan from down the road who was actually going to the pub in half an hour, and Jesus had risen. So that was kind of my first. I just always, I love the magic of it, I love that moment in the theatre where I always feel like you're stepping into a beehive and you can hear all these bees and people getting ready for this 3 hours moment of their life, which is being transported into another world. And I think the first movie I saw was Meet Me in St. Louis, Vincent Minnelli, and I just couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe the colour. I couldn't believe watching Judy Garland like sing like that and have that kind of, Anyway, I could talk about this forever.
That's what this show is for, talking about the things you're passionate about. So do you play a lot of different instruments too, based on your mom's influence?
Yeah, we grew up playing a lot of different instruments from, I played the harp kind of all during my childhood and my teenage years, and then piano and clarinet, all the character building stuff.
Have like a one-woman band there or something.
Yeah, maybe I should just become one of those people that walks along, with a big drum and kind of those jingly things on their feet.
You're doing like a live, like a show for Wild Rose, right? You should incorporate that as some part of the set.
Yeah, like a traveling sales music man.
Did you ever try an instrument and not be able to pick it up? Because thinking back to when I was a kid, I found the saxophone and that was like my thing and that naturally came to me. But if I tried the piano or just about anything else to guitar or singing, I couldn't do it.
I probably am a bit more scared about picking something up now. Like I've tried to stay playing the guitar and I just play it because I learned to play a bit for Wild Rose and I just can't believe how shite I sound. So I haven't had the nerve to like keep it going, but every so often I'll take it out and, you know, sit outside and go, come on, try and play.
That was
Simple
like
twist
the
of
coolest
fate.
thing to me. It's like all I want to do is to be able to just like pick up a guitar and hang out and be able to play. But I can just enjoy other people's music. So I did not realize you had a reality TV background, and it's strictly because I didn't watch the show. So hearing that whole story, I was like kind of shocked that you went through all that.
Jessie, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Dreams you dreamed have all gone astray.
Got absolutely nothing to say to you. It's absolutely brilliant. I got tears in my eyes, I promise you.
I've got tears in mine too. I made the Lord cry. I can't believe that.
I'm so curious so many years later, because based on the reality TV that I do watch, I know there must be some crazy things that go on behind the scenes. So looking back, is there anything that makes you think, wow, like, I can't believe I did that for that show?
Yeah, loads. Well, I think it was kind of an amazing experience, and looking back now, I'm quite, you know, I was very ignorant and innocent to the whole business of what that was, and it was kind of what brought me over to London in the first place. And I ended up doing it because I didn't get into drama school, and I was just practicing for my next drama school audition. So joined the queue of this reality show, which is be Nancy in the West End, and Andrew Lloyd Webber was kind of hosting the reality show, and then I just ended up going through it. But I look back at that 17-year-old version of myself and go, my God, that's pretty ballsy. Like, I had no training. I was so raw. I was so bad publicly so many times. And yeah, you know, I was just so excited and to be part of this family that I thought would take, you know, at least 3 decades to even touch upon. And yeah, so it was kind of an incredible experience. And odd as well, very odd to wake up and, you know, it's 7 o'clock and you look like hell and there's like a camera there watching you put milk on cornflakes, which I don't really know why is so, you know, exciting to watch. But that was probably, yeah, that was quite weird.
I feel like there is something about those like random little like everyday ins and outs of life. Like, what do you eat for breakfast? Or like, I don't know. There's something that humanizes it.
Yeah.
And especially when it comes to like any kind of like performance art that I admire, those are always the parts of the reality shows that, I don't know, like puts me on that same wavelength.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you keep in touch with anyone from that show? Because again, when I was doing my little research, I was scrolling through the cast list and I saw Samantha Barks' name on it, and it got me all hyped because of course she's incredible in what it is.
Yeah, I spoke to her a few weeks ago actually when we were in New York, and Rachel Tucker is another girl that I stay in touch with, and Andrew I stay in touch with, but he's really sweet and kind of texts and goes, oh, well, not text, he sends somebody more official to send me an email.
I'm kind of enjoying picturing him text messaging.
But he asked me for a cup of tea, so I'm always, yeah, so we meet up sometimes and have a cup of tea and just check in, and yeah, he's been really amazing.
That was the coolest thing about reading about your journey with that show too, because I think the idea, especially in this industry, of having mentors or someone to look out for you, to take you under their wing, is so important to put you on the right path. So in addition to him, is there anyone out there that you look to and you're like, thankfully you were there and you gave me the right advice?
Oh my God, yeah. I mean, I feel like I've been so lucky to meet like incredible people in lots of different points of my life and journey so far. I was really like, there was this one, when I moved over first, you know, I didn't have a family, or I'm the eldest of 5, so once you're out of the house, you're like out of the house, and you gotta learn, you gotta do it yourself. And there was a man who had come to see me in Little Night Music, and he just was like, I just want to support you learning, and would pay for me to go to singing lessons, and paid for me to go back to RADA, and he has nothing to do with the industry, but he I suppose he had a little hand on my back and told me keep going because you've got something. So, but I've been lucky. There's been lots of people along the way.
It's so encouraging to hear that someone just wants to, jump in because they believe in what you're capable of.
Yeah, kindness of strangers. It was kind of amazing. He's an angel. Like, I definitely wouldn't have been able to learn and grow the way I did without him.
You're still growing yourself, and I can't wait until the point where I could say, like, you're a household name, hopefully when this movie comes out and everybody sees it and everybody knows how wonderful you are. But even this early on, is there anybody in your life or in your work where you're looking at them and, like, you were able to give them some advice or make sure that they did a certain something a different way?
Oh, God. No, I wouldn't be cocky enough to, I don't know, I think everybody's got their own journey. I mean, I went home to my old school back in Ireland last week. My youngest sister is still there, and it was a really amazing thing to go back and talk to the girls, and we've got to look out for each other, and everybody's got their own little unique, beautiful journey that they've got to go on, and I suppose it's to encourage people to nurture their individuality and their opinion and educate themselves in lots of different ways, whatever that is and whatever it is that they're passionate about, but to find something that they're passionate about and go for it, take risks. So, I don't know. Maybe they probably were bored and just wanted to go for lunch.
Please.
Really.
You're all self-deprecating, and then you say something like that, and I'm like, I wish I heard that when I was a tiny child.
I was so nervous about it and like emotional doing it because there was a lot about what you say to yourself at that age as well. And I definitely had points when I was that age where I was afraid of myself, and I did everything to go against how powerful I could be because I was afraid of what that might feel like, because it's big in all of us, and sometimes it just takes a bit of a while to accept that.
Yeah. No, I get that. Actually, speaking of that, I was also reading that you had a bunch of opportunities after the reality show and you decided not to do them. So I'm so curious, looking back, is there any one of those gigs that you could have gotten that might have changed the course of your career in a way that you ever think about anymore?
I don't really think. I think like what's meant for you doesn't pass you by, and the life's full of sliding doors. Like you can, I don't know, fall in love with 10 different people in one day, but you just choose to go down one path. Yeah, I'm sure there's been loads of moments where I could have chosen something else, but I didn't, so I don't regret anything.
Speaking of saying no to something can be very hard, whether you're in this industry or any other industry. If like you want to climb to the top, you think to yourself, I mean, I've thought about this too, like I should gobble up every opportunity I can get, but the chance to like sit and think and really carve out the right path is super important. So can you talk a little bit about like your mentality when something good came your way, but you had to say no for a very real reason?
Yeah, I think it's important to learn to say yes as well, or to say no, to say no, because you have to have an opinion about your life, and just because it might give you a lot of money or whatever, you have to really ask yourself what it is you're looking to experience at that point in your life. And I think it's always good to come away, even especially after a job, I always want to like come away and you have to reset and reflect on what's changed with you within that job or within that year or whatever, and get hungry for the next thing. And I definitely feel like I want to do that more and be conscious about what I'm curious about exploring, and not just take something because it's there, because I want to grow and I want to learn, and if I do things that are just safe, then I'm not going to experience the things that I don't know about myself yet.
I really respect that mentality, and that's why we get different, unique, very, very spunky characters like Rose. It really is very impressive to be able to take somebody who could initially be a very unlikable character and to turn her into someone who you feel for on so many different levels, and you're rooting for her to succeed.
Yeah, I mean, I never found her unlikable. I think I found her frustrated and complex and trying to figure out how to move forward in her life. And she's foibled and she's fractured and I remember Nicole Taylor, who wrote the script, said Rosalyn is alive. She's more alive than you, and you can feel like every sinew of her being reverberates on the outside of her skin, and sometimes that's like a tornado which rips through the cities that she's like living in, and sometimes she's able to pull it all in and sing it out and say everything that she's trying to say in her normal life, but in this other world when she sings. But I just think she's human. I don't think there's anybody in the world who doesn't have those feelings and those selfish moments or moments which don't come, they all come with a consequence for her, I think, even when it appears that she's being selfish.
I feel like frustrating is probably the best word to describe her, because you see all these wonderful qualities in her, and you're like, why did you leave your bag on the seat? Why come back? I can't believe that even after seeing this movie multiple times, that scene just it gets me all riled up all over again. Going back to the beginning of Wild Rose, is this something you had to audition for, or did they reach out to you for the part?
I had worked with Tom Harper before, the director on War and Peace, and played quite a nun-like character in Princess Maria, so I don't know why he saw me in that. He was like, you're perfect for Wild Rose. So he sent me the script and he said, I want you to have a read, and I only really want to do it if you do it, and it was just such a brilliant script. And then when I met Nicole, kind of just went from there, so that's kind of how it came my way.
Is there an intimidation factor jumping into this? Such a rich storytelling and character arc opportunity, but there's just so many elements of this production that I'm like, I would be totally overwhelmed.
Oh my God, yeah, I was absolutely terrified, but in a good way, I think I always, if you react to a script, and I've had a few experiences with scripts where I've had a guttural reaction to something, and I haven't fully realized. The thing is you can't fully realize it until you're right there on set. So all that stuff, the groundwork that you're fighting with and trying to suppress your fear with is important, but ultimately what where you're working towards is those moments on set between you and the other person. But there were lots, I hadn't sung in a very long time, and I had lost my nerve with it, kind of. And I never really done country before, so finding where that sits within Rosalyn's voice and where it's coming from was a big thing. And then the accent was a big thing because it's such a part of her character and rhythm and her pulse, and Glasgow's a character kind of in itself in the film, so getting that right was a really big thing. And then just her swag.
She definitely has that.
and her vulnerability, and finding where that was. But I used lots of different things, pictures and different films and music and cowboy boots.
Those boots. I hope those boots were comfortable, because it's I have a pair of super cool Fry boots, and I do love how they look, but they're uncomfortable, so I kept worrying through the entire film. What if?
No, they actually were. I know, I wore them in well.
That's what's important there. I'm actually curious why you weren't singing. I feel like maybe it's because I can't sing for the life of me, and I'm like, if I could, I would do it all the time. So what made you stop? Was it all the TV work?
Well, when I left RADA, I kind of, they were very you're going to be some people were like, you're going to be a classical actress, and I was like,
I hope they all saw this particular movie in that role.
And I think I done, after I did some musical theatre, I then went and did jazz singing around London, and I thought I was going to do that maybe before I went back to RADA, and I think I just didn't really know what it was to me anymore, and yeah, until I kind of found this music and this, yeah, it feels like it's come back into my life again, and I love it.
Is it anything specific about country music? Because admittedly, I'm not the biggest country music fan across the board, but when I really sit and listen to it and pay attention to like the words and the feeling that has to go into it, I don't know, I feel the warmth of it.
Yeah, well, for me, it's the lyrics and the stories. You know, they really are like 3-minute movies, and they have a way, because the music is very simple, but it's the stories like of the really good stuff where you can almost see the scene unravel and you can see the characters within it, and as a performer and singing and acting, it's really taught me a lot, because you kind of have to let the song come out and be something different every single night, because the characters change and they've got different stories every day, and it's really the lyrics. And there's a real honesty in there, but there's also irony, because they like take very normal, mundane, day-to-day life experiences, like a woman like Angel from Montgomery, like this old woman who's sitting in her kitchen wondering why she's wasted her whole life, and she's hearing The Fly, and she's thinking about the cowboy that she was with once, but she's still just in her kitchen. So yeah.
What is it like when you're actually performing these songs on set? Like, one, are you doing any live singing on set while you're shooting?
Oh yeah, it was all live.
I had a feeling in that case, especially in the scenes where, like, you know, it's almost shot with like a little bit of a music video vibe. How many times do you have to do that over in order to get all the coverage?
I think like when we did the last song, we did that like 28 times.
So worth it.
Like again and again. Yeah. And then Outlaw State of Mind, I mean, that was a riot, because as well, Tom, we wanted to keep it really free, and I had no idea what it was going to do, and then the band set kicked in and the whole crowd were there, and I don't know, I think at one point I ended up doing the worm on the floor.
I
nearly popped my shoulder out of jumping down off the stage, and Tom was like, come on, one more time. I was like, okay.
Oh, I really want to see some like B-roll now of all of this. That scene in particular was the first time in the movie that I caught myself. It's like, you know, when you're watching a movie and it's like dark and no one can see you, but all of a sudden you realize what your face is doing, and I was just like the biggest freaking grin on my face. Like, I was just sitting there last night, and thankfully the only one looking at me was my cat, and I'm just like for way too long. I also really wanted to ask you, because we didn't talk about this last time, about working with Sophie, because she has just been someone who's caught my eye for so many years, and I feel like nobody's talking about her work enough, but she winds up being so important to Rosalyn's journey throughout the entire thing, so I'm just curious what it was like working with her on that.
Oh, she's like amazing, and I've loved her forever. You know, in college she was definitely somebody that I looked up to, and she's just part of the team, you know. That was an amazing thing between Sophie and Julie. Like, Tom just gets these incredible people who are just game, you know. There's no rigmarole or like diva or whatever. We were just all having such a good time, and so getting to come on set and stand opposite these amazing women just made it so easy and enjoyable and light, and also made you felt you could go anywhere. And she's just, I love her. She's an amazing woman.
She really is. So you said you had a good time, but there's a couple of like super emotional beats in the story. So I was wondering, do you have to do any kind of like detox after walking away from something like that?
Yeah, it's called the whiskey detox.
I am aware of that detox, and I don't even act.
No, I don't ever usually like go, I don't know, maybe I should. But I don't know, I just get on with my day, really, go home, get as much sleep as I can, and get ready for the next day. But it's funny, I suppose some of those scenes as well, you're subconsciously, you know, there are some scenes where I think I've lived with Rosalyn for a while now, and those emotional ones, it was more the lead up to them that I found the line between us both was quite small, and I don't know if I was having a panic attack or she was, but one of us was. And yeah, I don't know, it's interesting.
What do you like to go to set with? Do you like break down a script and have it in your hand, or is it just a cup of coffee?
Always coffee.
Smart choice.
And usually my script is pretty crumpled and in one of my big pockets that I'm like trying to pull out, and I don't know, it's a bit of I'm a bit chaotic. I like chaos and order, basically.
I feel like that's an appropriate way to approach this particular role too. Like it would almost be like anti-Rose to go with everything like bullet pointed out.
Yeah, that's what I thought too, yeah. The thing is all my characters are like that, even the ones that are more buttoned up. And
What kind of movies and shows are you into just like in your free time?
oh God. Well, I just watched Shoplifters on the plane. That's an amazing film.
That's a really good one.
I watched Succession, amazing writing. God, any Paul Thomas Anderson films, Lynn Ramsey films, love The Rider.
I feel like I could see you and Vicky Krieps in a movie together, and I would be happy with that.
That would be a dream.
There's another name we're not talking about nearly enough. She was so good in that movie.
She's so good. And I
Everyone-
love her. She just seems like the nicest, coolest person.
She
I need
actually
to
swung
go for
by
a glass
an
of wine
episode
for
of
her.
the show. She came, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, she came by for when we had this show in a shorter iteration, and we sat and we made little paper dolls and we drew little outfits on. She's really wonderful though.
Yeah, I love her, yeah.
Is there anybody else in the industry, because we're always talking about like the way movies and TV could be changing for the better, and there's a couple of like really formidable forces out there that are like pushing things forward in a very promising, positive direction. Are there any ladies in Hollywood that you're looking at and you're like, you're doing something special right now, I want to work with you?
Yeah, I love Lynn Ramsey and I love her films. Love Frances McDormand's badassness and I love that she lets herself, like how she's just so seeable, you know, you just see, any mask is removed. It's very amazing. Olivia Colman, Chloe Zhao, who did The Rider, didn't she direct The Rider? Yeah.
The Rider's great.
Yeah, there's an amazing new writer called Elizabeth Sanders, who's from New York, who's writing amazing scripts, and yeah, there's, I don't know, I look around all the time and see people that I think you're doing something, you know, true and of yourself, and that's awesome.
Any opportunity I get to put a spotlight on names like those, I will always take it. Back to Wild Rose really quickly, because you've been on like a really long press and festival journey with this film.
Are you sick of seeing me?
Not one bit, but I do remember that I was in Toronto for TIFF, and you were lucky enough to talk to our own Steve Weintraub while I was out and about doing the hotel junket ones, and I was so sad that I missed you guys. But being on this journey for so long, is there anything about that like really intense like press process or sharing your movie with different audiences in different states and countries that has like really struck you?
Yeah, I mean, it really is different in every place. And I think, you know, that's funny, I always just think, oh, film is just like, it's solidified and it's real and that's it. But it changes with every different audience and every different, like, you know, you bring it to Austin or Nashville and they're such hardcore country fans that it's a completely different relationship for them. Or you bring it to Glasgow and it's like a love song to them, you know, it belongs to them. Or, yeah, but I think the through thing with this film is that it's a prison break film for anybody who's been told they're not allowed to dream outside the four walls that they've been told they're allowed to exist in. Whether you're from Nashville or Glasgow or a man or a woman, you know, it can belong to everybody, I hope.
Oh, I really like the sound of that. That's a beautiful way to put it. It's a movie also that like tells you could have everything. Like I feel like we're also trained to say like if that's my like exclusively my dream and nothing else.
Yeah. Especially as mothers, you know, you're like told you have to put your dreams to the side once you become. Yeah, it's important for people to keep nurturing their own individuality and identity, and sometimes that's hard.
Touching on something you said before, do you have any movie that you've watched that after, I don't know, not liking it at one point in your life, it wound up meaning a lot to you? Because that's one of my favorite things about movies, is that whether it's like the region you're from, your background, anything at all, what part of your life you're in the middle of right now and what you're dealing with, like your reaction to the same movie could change depending on where you stand at that moment.
That's an excellent question. Well, I saw True Romance a few weeks ago in London, and I hadn't seen it in ages. And I think when I was young, I didn't really get it, but I just had the best time watching it. And all of those scenes are just, each scene could be, it's a film in itself. Like the dynamic between those characters, you go, oh my God, yeah. But I don't know, I always watch Meet Me in St. Louis, like every year at Christmas time, and that, it still is magic to me, but I don't know, maybe I look at different things in it because of it.
I don't know what it says about me that is like your yearly watching thing, and mine is trick or treat on Halloween. That's fine. So what are the goals from here on out? Are there any like specific types of projects that you've never worked on that you've got your eye on?
I don't really plan.
Definitely established that, and I think it's for the better.
I don't know. I think, yeah, I love collaborating, and I love I like being free in my work, and the thing is you do meet different stories at different points in your life, and so I could have read a script, I could have read Beast now, and it would have been a completely different film for me, and I probably wouldn't have been, it would have been a different story as well because of where I am now.
I'm not who I say I am. I know you'll understand. Because we're the same.
I don't know, I'm curious about, I don't know, maybe just collaborate. I'd like to build something from the root up and see what happened.
Are you interested in writing and directing at all?
Not really. No, I don't think I'd be very good at it. Also, I think it's such a specific talent that, like I appreciate it and I respect it, and I think it takes years to
Oh, I get that.
say what you need to say with that. And but I'd like to be part of that team. I love that. Like that's my favorite way of working, is from day one you're sharing, and whatever it is, if it's a poem to a piece of art, to a piece of music, to a film reference, that there's this cooking pot of something. And they used to have, in the Disney rooms, they used to have these old Disney rooms where all the writers would go in, and as they were walking through the door, they'd each have a marker pen, and the walls would be all completely white. And whatever, thought they had in their head, they would just scroll it on the wall, and so all of these writers would come, and I mean it's kind of like what writing rooms are now, but it was all around, and then they would amalgamate all the best ideas and create a film. That's what I want to do.
I like the sound of that. I mean, collaboration is key. And it's also the cool thing now too that I see all over the place is that most people, when they get a wonderful opportunity and start to build like a name for themselves, then they can like swing that weight around in a way where it's like building and fostering a project from the ground up, and I don't know, making something that's really important to you.
Yeah, definitely.
So what's the deal with this live performance now? Because I want to know how I can see you perform this stuff live.
Oh, you can come along if you want.
Please, yes.
Well,
I hope they'll let me go.
We're doing a few live performances while we're in the US. And then when we go back to the UK, we're doing some music festivals and doing, I suppose it feels like it's kind of rounding up the whole journey of it. And so we finish at Glastonbury on the 30th of June on one of the stages there. And we're doing a tour of Glasgow and Belfast and Dublin. And yeah, Rosalyn Harlan's got her own tour bus, which she's very excited about.
A tour bus?
Yeah, I can't wait.
Have you ever done, tour bus living or maybe even like an RV type trip?
No, not like that. I'm sure musicians, anyone who watches this, will be like, she's going to get so bored of that.
I just
after
immediately
the first day.
plopped you right in the middle of Almost Famous now.
Yeah.
I feel like that'll be a good time. Especially if you have all the essentials on the tour bus.
Yeah.
It'll be fine.
Just blue M&Ms. No.
Oh no, you're a diva.
No, I love my band. I just can't wait to get out and gigging, and yeah, play music with live audience. It'll be great fun.
It really does sound like that's a wonderful opportunity, especially with the music from this film. I also have to ask you about what you're doing next, because I feel like my brief scroll down your IMDb page, the Dr. Dolittle movie is on there, isn't it? It just felt like a surprising choice, because with your work, I've gone from Taboo to this, and then I see that. I'm like, oh, that's different.
That is the first thing everyone always asks me, and I haven't got a clue where Dr. Dolittle is or what's happening. I shot that like 2 years ago, but yeah, I mean, I shot something. I don't know if they've caught me on the floor or if I'm there or not, but I don't know. Maybe you'll see it before I do, and you can let me know.
I will. It's an interesting process. We also do some Collider random questions just to get to know you a little bit better. I have a feeling I know the answer to this specific one, but what's the movie you quote the most?
Is that a gun in your pocket, or are you just happy to see me?
Okay.
Or The Mask. It's a Tommy gun. P-A-R-T-Y, because I gotta.
Wow.
Party time! P-A-R-T. Why? Because I gotta!
I'm telling you, I feel like they should remake that movie, and you should be The Mask.
Love that film. Love Jim Carrey. What a legend.
That is like my generation's like growing up experience. That movie was way too important to me.
I don't know how I found Lauren Bacall and The Mask in the same sentence. I'm sure she'd like absolutely, I don't know what she'd say to me.
Do you have any movie or TV memorabilia or props at home? Basically, did you steal anything?
Oh.
Because I feel like there's lots from Wild Rose to steal.
Oh, I mean, I have the whole costume department of Wild Rose.
I'm so happy to hear you say that.
I've even brought my Wild Rose jacket to LA in case, the moment took me.
I feel like you guys should actually do something to promote the film where you're selling those jackets. I
wanted to open a pop-up tattoo parlors.
Oh, that was my other question for it. This is so silly, but I always think of little details like that. That tattoo, are they basically applying it every single day?
Oh yeah, every single day.
I love that tattoo.
It's a whole skill. My favorite was Chuck. He never really came out. I had this cowboy on my chest, which we call Chuck.
Chuck.
But yeah, I think we should do pop-up Wild Rose tattoo parlors.
Don't say that, because I would do it, and I would do it for real.
We should do it.
Oh, I'm very easily influenced when it comes to tattoos.
Oh, great! Last time I was here, I got a tattoo on my lunch break, which is a really bad idea.
Did you really?
Yeah.
What did you get?
I mean this, but it looks like Bluetooth, but it's actually not.
Wait, what is it?
It's from Beast, and Johnny had all these symbols on the inside of his finger, which were like Nordic signs for different things. So this is a Nordic sign for growth, but it just looks like Bluetooth. And I showed my brother, and he was like, "That's the stupidest thing I ever saw in my life."
The point is that it means something to you.
Yeah, embarrassment.
Oh no, that's my next spot. I'm gonna wind up with something right there too, and it's not gonna be exactly that, but for some reason I feel like it's gonna come full circle. And whatever I get,
I'm tempted to get a rose,
now.
but then I think that is down a different path. It's gonna have to be a classy one.
A classy rose. I could see that too. That would be a nice one. If you had the opportunity to guest star on any TV show out there right now, what would it be?
Breaking Bad.
Breaking Bad is never a wrong answer to any question.
Or Succession. I love Succession.
I need to watch Succession.
Oh my God.
Because I watch most of the HBO programming, and it's like every time that trailer comes on, I always say to myself, I should watch that. And for whatever reason, there's so much content.
Yeah, there's so much.
So I'm purposely gunning for something right now. What is the most impulsive thing you've done recently? Your hair.
Oh, cut my hair off. I cut my hair off. Oh my God, I can't even remember.
I'm so impressed by that. I had to bring it up.
It's so impulsive that I can't even remember that I did it. Yeah, I cut all my hair off. Oh God. I used to do this thing after I finished a job because sometimes it feels like your hair belongs to a character, and so I'd go home and I'd be like, oh, I need to cut my hair off. So I'd just cut it myself in this really bad bob. And for years it was going into my hairdresser, and I'd be like, oh God, I was playing another crazy woman. I had to cut my hair off because my gosh, it was so bad. It was literally choppy, a bit ratty at the back, kind of a mullet growing out.
I'm kind of thankful that my mom instilled a weird fear in me as a child, where if I cut a single piece of hair, I was going to ruin everything. I spent like a good portion of my adult life always having to go in and pay to get my bangs cut because I was so afraid to cut one hair. Before we wrap this up, is there anything coming out movie or TV wise that you are really looking forward to?
I can't wait to see Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I don't really know what else is about to come out. What is about to come out?
Oh my God, so much. What's your go-to genre?
Like Paul Thomas Anderson.
Paul Thomas. I think we might have to wait a little while for more from him.
Probably like, I don't know, maybe I like realist.
Do you get the chance to explore any of the other films at the festivals while you're there, or is it all like work, work, work?
Sometimes. I sometimes wish I could see more. Like, well, at London Film Festival, I saw Roma in the cinema, which I loved. Yeah, I saw White Boy Rick when I was at Toronto, I think. Yeah.
That played there too. I just thought of something that I feel like you're gonna like.
Oh yeah.
Broken Circle Breakdown.
What does
Have
that
you ever
mean?
heard of that?
No.
I believe it's a film that takes place, it's a Belgian film, and it's got like the bluegrass music vibe,
cool.
and it's some like, I mean like beautiful, another one that I couldn't stop listening to after I saw it, but it's also like a real heartbreaker of a story,
great.
but that is phenomenal from the director who did Beautiful Boy.
Oh, cool.
So
Great. Oh.
I highly recommend you
I
check
will
it out.
watch that.
But you know what's more important right now? That all of you check out Wild Rose. Serious, I can't reiterate it enough. You're something special,
thanks for
Jessie. And that
having me
movie,
again.
you really need to see it. Thank you so much for your
Thank
time
you.
today. I appreciate having you here. Guys, thanks so much for watching this episode of Collider Ladies Night. As always, like and share it, and we're going to see you soon with more of them.